Here is my review of Home Alone in 2020. I have never seen this movie before today. This is my very first showing ever, and let's find out if it's still as funny today as it was when it was released back in 1990, coming from fresh eyes. Let's get this review started. So I'm assuming most people have seen this movie, but I know not everybody has, because if I haven't seen it, I'm sure there's a ton of people who have never seen this film. So I'm going to give a brief synopsis of who's in the film and what the movie's about, and then I'm going to talk about my observations of the film. So this movie stars Macaulay Culkin as an 8-year-old kid who gets left home during the holiday season as his family, his dad's brother, so his uncle and his family, go off to Paris. He accidentally gets left behind, and there's a couple of robbers in the neighborhood, played by Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. And they are casing the neighborhood, and they're looking for places to rob. We've got Catherine O'Hara, who plays Macaulay Culkin's mother, and we've got John Hurd, who plays his father. Now, Macaulay Culkin, in the movie, his name is Kevin McAllister, so it's the McAllister family. So I'm going to refer to him as Kevin going forward, and we'll talk about Harry and Marv, the two robbers. So he accidentally gets left behind, and the mother realizes this on the flight to Paris and freaks out. Now, here are some of my observations of the film overall. I'll talk about some of the interesting things I picked up, and then I'll kind of talk about whether I like the movie at the end or not here. So, first of all, I would never want to live in this house that they live in. It's funny because they go to great lengths to show you that this is the holiday season. The carpet in the house is red. You've got green walls. You've got red and green designs on the walls. You've got gold, like dividers for the, they're called transitions from room to room. Everything in this house reeked Christmas time. Even if you took out the decorations in the house, just the carpeting, the walls, and the designs on the walls would reek Christmas 24/7. Not good for anybody, but they definitely did overload on trying to getting you to feel like this is Christmas time, and they did a good job with it. It definitely feels that way. First of all, this is definitely a holiday movie. There are some things there's one thing in particular I know Hollywood never do today. There's one point where Kevin McAllister, kind of looks like he's part of the nativity scene at a church, and I don't think Hollywood would ever put that in a movie today. That would just never happen. But it was interesting when he does that, when he's being followed by the two robbers who were trying to they'd already cased the neighborhood. There's one point also where Kevin goes to the church, talks to his neighbor, which, if you've seen the movie, you know what that's all about. And he's going home, and he just opens the door. He didn't unlock the door. And so I thought that was kind of funny. He just opened it. He didn't have a key. If you're worried about robbers in the neighborhood, why would you leave the house without the door open unless he didn't have a key? But they didn't really address that. The only other thing I thought was interesting, which I was expecting more with, was the furnace in the basement. Usually when they point something out to that degree, it actually plays a major role in the story. And it did to a point, in the fact that when he was talking to his neighbor, he talked about his fears of going into the basement and overcoming those fears. But I was expecting that to have to do with the robbers breaking in. Now, the other interesting thing that I found was that the robbers don't break in until about 25 minutes till the end of the movie. This movie is like an hour and 45 minutes long, and you don't have them going into the home until the last 25 minutes. So let's talk about whether this movie is hilarious or not, and whether it's worth watching in 2020 versus back in 1990. I can't believe this movie is 30 years old. So the short answer is yes, this movie is hilarious, and it is worth watching in 2020. I laughed out loud about 8 times, like really laughed out loud. Did I find the movie overly hilarious or overly silly? No, and that's what I was expecting, one of the reasons why I avoided it. Because I thought it was just going to be super silly from beginning to end, just crazy, off-the-wall, stupid stuff. And that's not what this movie was. Now, I'm wondering, without the internet, how this kid was so smart to do half the things that he did, other than just his imagination, but I don't see that being possible. They did not leave any or create any groundwork to lead you to believe that he would do all this stuff. So there's a little disconnect in this little kid being able to do what he did. But It was funny. Now, I really liked the clip that he used to scare the pizza man at the door and to scare off Marv at the, when they were casing the place out during their first kind of visit going around after the parents had left. So that was really funny. Those were the first 2 times that I laughed in the film. And then when they finally do start their assault on the house, when they start falling, yeah, the first time that Joe Pesci's character Harry falls back and lands straight on his back, anybody who's an adult who's fallen on their back or been knocked down like that, you know how painful that can be. And on that ice to get that momentum and then on that hard concrete surface, yeah, that would not be good. And that was pretty funny. And then when it happens multiple times as he's trying to get up, it was good. Same with Marv trying to get into the back. He fell down the stairs. Then when he goes inside, there was tar all over the stairs. I don't think Kevin's father is going to be real happy about finding tar, because I could tell you tar is not easy to clean up. I've messed with tar when I was a kid, and not an easy thing to clean up and get off your hands and get rid of. And so I don't think his father is going to be happy with that, and that's something they didn't really address in the film. The one thing I am glad that they addressed that I didn't expect them to was, at the beginning of the movie, you've got Kevin who's climbing his brother's shelves in his room, and he knocks all the shelves down. And, towards the end when they all came home and were happy to see Kevin again, I was like, are they going to address, his brother even showed that he was happy to see him, and I'm like, are they even going to address that the shelves fell? And I think the very final shot before it goes to credits was his brother saying, what did you do to my room? So, yeah, the movie was funny. It was great. The first half is a great buildup. Even though they hadn't started their assault on the house, it was still very fun. It felt like Christmas time. It really did a good job of giving you a little bit of mystery and feeling for this kid who got left home alone. And in the not the second half, in the last 25 minutes, it was really well done. The only 2 things I would really have a major gripe with is why in the world, if these robbers were there to take stuff in the house, when Kevin finally left the house, why would they even bother to follow him, especially after what he had done to them? So when the rope was cut and they swing and hit the side of the house, there wasn't enough rope there. Well, there was definitely enough rope there, but it wasn't up high enough for them to be able to swing and hit the side of the house. They would have hit the ground, and I thought hitting the ground would have been more effective anyway, because, again, a high fall for an adult is not very fun. So those were the only things I really had to say really could have been thought out a little bit better and done a little bit better. But what's there, I got to remember, this is 30 years old. It doesn't look 30 years old, but it is. And one thing I forgot to mention that really tugged on my heartstrings was seeing John Candy again. Because seeing him again, I'm not having ever seen this movie, and seeing someone like John Candy in a new film, he was as old as, when he passed away, he looked just like that. It was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in so long. It was good to see him in something new, and to realize that he's gone, it was a little emotional. So he was one of the great comedians. He was always fun on film, no matter what film it was, and it was great to see him in the movie. So, all right, so let's talk about a scale of 1 to 10. Where do I put this on the holiday scale? I would say an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. It's not amazing, off the charts, crazy, great, but it is a very worthy movie that will definitely be in my rotation from here on out. One of the movies that I must see every year. It's really good. Not really as excited to see Home Alone 2. I do know they go downhill from there. I've never seen anything from any of these movies, so as I watch them, I may stop at 2 because I know that's the only one that has Macaulay Culkin back in it and the family. After that, they got a different cast, and I don't think that's going to work out well. But I'm betting the second one is going to be 10 times more silly and good. But yes, this movie, for someone who has never seen it, it is definitely worth watching. You'll get a good feeling. I really enjoyed the movie from beginning to end. Again, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. Don't wait like I did. It was totally worth the watch. So I'm grateful for everybody who chimed in and kind of pushed me to want to watch it, because yesterday I put up a question on social media asking, is this movie really worth watching? And I got a ton of responses, and it's what pushed me to finally go ahead and watch it. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You will be notified as new reviews go up. I do appreciate all the support, and look for the next review shortly.